Okay, thanks for joining me. So today, I want to tell you the story about the 2 times I stood up to my narcissistic mother. And they're actually different. So I am the scapegoat of the family. And that is the role that I was put in without knowing. And the narcissist has placed me in that position. And, that's what it's like when you're in a narcissistic family. The narcissist will decide the role for you. So I'm the scapegoat. So when the scapegoat stands up to a narcissist, it's really a direct assault on the narcissist, because the scapegoat is really the key source for the narcissist to extract energy from. And that's the life I had for 40 years, really. I was the scapegoat and really just the punching bag of the narcissist. And, she would just emotionally, psychologically drain me, and then I'd build back up, and then that would happen again. And so this was the reoccurring theme for 40 years of my life. I chose to stop drinking and smoking weed and get sober and start figuring out what is wrong, what's going on with me. Why do I have all these emotional, psychological problems? What is driving me crazy? Ultimately, pursuing that is what led me to understanding the narcissistic abuse I had been receiving and experiencing for my whole life. Now, I initially got sober and was in a clear state of mind for a few years, and was able to observe the way my narcissistic mother was treating me and feel it. Because before she'd do her psychological abuse, and then if I were to feel it, I would just medicate with alcohol or weed. And so I never fully felt those emotions and then processed them. But when you're sober, you feel every emotion. And thank God I did, because I was able to really get clear with those feelings. And this isn't right. I don't want you to treat me this way. You're my mother, number one. Mothers shouldn't treat their children in this way. And this is psychological torment. This is why we have so many problems in society. It's because people are so psychologically tormented by other people. So that is absolutely bad. And so, before I knew about narcissism and narcissistic abuse, I approached my narcissistic mother from an empathetic point of view. I thought, if I could empathize with her and try to understand what she's going through, because of course I just blame myself. Like, it must be my fault that she's treating me this way, because that's part of the psychological conditioning that the narcissist will put on you, is you'll feel everything is your fault. So I approached it from that mindset of, it must be my fault. I need to empathize with this person and figure out, why they're behaving this way and why I'm feeling this way. And it's almost like it's my fault that I'm feeling bad. So I told my dad, hey, let's have a talk between you and me and Mom. And I just want to express myself and figure out how we can come to some sort of agreement about how we can resolve this. And so he agreed. We got the meeting. And the thing is, we live on their property in their guest house. So I see them every single day. So this is the first real confrontation I ever had with my narcissistic mother. And we're sitting there, and I'm just saying, like, listen, you're doing these things to me. It's making me feel this way. I don't think it's right. I would like to figure out how we can come to an agreement to where you're not doing this, and I'm not triggering you, or whatever. You know what I mean? And immediately she took on the defensive role, and the first thing she says, "Oh, so you're telling me I'm a shitty mother?" And I said, "Well, no, I'm not saying you're anything. I'm just telling you my experience." And the entire conversation was then kind hijacked by her about how now I'm accusing her of being a shitty mother. Everything she does is terrible and wrong, and how I will do better. I will try to do better. I will try. She kept saying that. You know, well, I'm just a shitty mother. I will try to do better. And she just kept like repeating all this stuff. And you know, I'm looking at my dad. I'm like, are you hearing this, man? Like, this is so weird. I'm just trying to give my point of view because I experienced so much psychological torment of my life. 40 fucking years of that. It drove me to almost die from using alcohol and drinking and driving. I mean, wouldn't a parent, it's like, doesn't a parent want the best for their child? Why would you torment your child? That's insane to me. And this is when I didn't know about narcissistic abuse. I didn't know how dangerous that is. And so that first confrontation, you know, I tried to reason with this person, and I told her, like, I want your point of view. Like, what are you going through? Like, why are you doing this? Like, you must be psychologically tormented in some way. And the result of it was, basically, you know, my dad is her biggest enabler, so he's on her side naturally. And nothing came of it. She just played the victim the whole time. I was like, you know what, I'm done. So I just left. And then, you know, these little like nuggets of information will come into your life, and it's like a little thread. And if you just pull that, my wife gets these stupid Apple News alerts on her phone. You know, they'll like come in, Apple News alert, blah blah blah. Anyway, it was talking about narcissism in society, and I had heard the term narcissism before. And you think about, you know, the Greek goddess Narcissa or whatever, and she's looking in the mirror, and you just think about, oh, narcissists are just vain people that only care about themselves. And yeah, that's like one part of who narcissists are, but it's so much deeper than that. So I, and my wife was like, hey, you know, this might be, you know, the characteristics is what your mother, you know, this could be what your mother's thing is. She's a narcissist. And I was like, man, I'm going to dig into that. So I just jumped into personality disorders, which that's kind of like the larger grouping of all these psychotic people. And then I just started learning about narcissism. And within that narcissism personality disorder, there's many different types of narcissists. And from the characteristics my mother was showing, were saying that she is a covert narcissist. Someone who is really charismatic. You know, she's real friendly. She can talk. She's a real people person. You know, it's easy for people to like her. But they're like, they always play the victim card. They're always telling the story about their how they're the victim, all that, whatever. So once I learned this, and I started to understand, and then I observed her behavior, and I was like, yeah, she's a covert narcissist. This is dangerous. I cannot, it's like she's manipulated me for so many years that just getting around her, it's hard for me to express my words, especially if it's just her and I. She can just say something that just presses a button, and it just it gives me so much anxiety and anger, and I'm just like, I don't want to mess with this person ever again anymore. And I started learning about zero contact and the gray rocking, the gray area, gray zone. And so, you know, we're living there, so we can't leave. We have nowhere else to live. And I figured, okay, I'm going to have to master this kind of gray area with her. So the next way I confronted her, and it made her so mad, was I confronted her through my dad. I used her little enabler, and I told him, this is the deal, man. To protect my mental sanity and the psychological safety of my family, my wife and my two small children, I want zero contact with my mother. She's too psychologically manipulative, and she's dangerous, and she's a bad person. and I don't want that around my family. So I told him, this is the deal. I want no contact with her. I'm protecting my own mental sanity, and that's the bottom line. And so I had him deliver that message to her. And honestly, I can tell you the results. I'm going to leave that in another video, because then I'll tell you what she started to do next. Because number one, her scapegoat, which was, I was her blood boy, for 40 years, now has told her, you don't have access to me ever again. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to have to speak to you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to have to deal with you at all. And that's where I'm at. I don't want to deal with that person. Because the big thing is, these narcissists, they don't realize they're doing anything wrong. They have no empathy. That's the thing. Normal people have empathy. When you're mean to somebody, you feel bad and you apologize. I'm sorry for being mean. That's just normal. Those are normal people. These narcissists, she might have had empathy at one time in her life, but that is gone, man. She does not care about how other people feel, and especially how her son feels. So that is a bad person that I do not want in my life. And that is how I stood up to that narcissist. So the next video, I'll tell you the results of the fallout from that. Anyway, thanks for watching.